Hi, I'm Doreen Calderon. I'm the owner of The Recognized Actor. I work with seasoned, experienced actors to help them get the career they want. This video was taken from a recent Facebook Live where I break down what to expect when working on a set during COVID. You're going to have a lot of questions, so be sure to put them in the comments below. I answer every single one. Also, be sure to like this video, and if you want to catch the next one, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Enjoy. So, today's topic is booked it, now what? What do you do when you book something during COVID? So you've come to the right place, and I actually wrote down some things so I don't forget them. The first thing, because things are going to be different, right? And a lot of people are asking questions online. A lot of people are asking their friends. The first thing I want to say, every production is different. So you might get one answer from someone and then show up on set and go, wait a minute, I heard it was going to be a different. So forewarned is forearmed, right? Be aware, first off, what are your shoot dates? Let's talk about television specifically. What's happening with television is they're expanding the availability the actor needs to have for the shoot dates. If you've got a one-day co-star, normally you just show up, do your thing, and then go home the same day. Well, now they need people to be available for COVID testing first, and that's included in your shoot week. Then you're going to show up a couple days later because they've got to get the test results in. So pay attention to your shoot dates. They have big margins now. I was talking to a friend who was shooting on a television show, and what they did in order to keep everybody in the bubble for their episode was they made all of the principal actors work as background actors. So they happened to be there, even if they were there for one line, they were there for several days. The good news, that's more money. That's the good news. But know that things will change. So the dates are going to be different for every production. That is to say, every category of production, whether it's network television versus a web series versus film versus commercials. They're all going to be different. So the first thing you want to do is pay attention to your shoot schedule. Okay, you may have been doing this for years and you think you know it, but COVID has upset everything. Assume nothing. So, like I said, the first thing they're going to have you do is they're going to make you go for a test. This is another thing where you want to be informed about. There is not just one kind of test. And the kind of test that a production uses can give us information about that production itself. For instance, the network television and the major studio films, they're using what are called PCR COVID testing. And it stands for something, but what it means is that it's got a higher reliability rate. It is taken through the nose. The first one I ever had, it went way up there, like they say, but then afterwards, they were taking swabs from just midway, just midway, so it wasn't that bad. I also heard of people being given the swab themselves and having to do it. So as long as they just get a good sample, that's all they need. So that's the PCR. And what that does, that looks for the genetic makeup of the virus. And it takes a little bit longer to get the results back. I mean, like, I don't know, 3 days, something like that. Then there's another one called the antigen test. And the antigen test looks for the proteins in the virus. And again, it's still a nasal swab. There may be a saliva test as well for the antigen test. Um, it doesn't give as high as an accuracy rate as the PCR, but it's still pretty good. And then there's the antibody test, which really tells us nothing. If you're working on set and they want to give you an antibody test, it doesn't mean anything. It means you may or may not have had it months ago. So it doesn't mean anything. What a production wants is a snapshot of where you are today. That's why they want the test first, and then a couple days later, then you can come on set. That being said, sets need to be clear and free of positive cases. So you are not allowed, crew is not allowed to enter a set unless they've been cleared. I was working on a production where suddenly we had to stop production, not because somebody tested positive, but because the labs were overwhelmed in that city by all of the testing. So nobody can enter the set unless they're cleared, and we couldn't get cleared until the tests had gone through it, until the labs got back on track. So that was an unexpected thing. Understand how the testing works. So everybody has to be cleared. And then when you're on set, there are different zones. There's the red zone, which is the only one I know, because that's the one where you're on set. That's where the actors, the director, the DP is all there in the red zone. So anybody else in a different colored zone, they're not allowed to enter a hot set. And that protects everybody. So what they're looking for on a set is the less interaction possible, the better. So what they've done specifically with makeup and wardrobe, oftentimes you'll get done in the trailer and you'll see that same person on set. They have separate people who are just on set, so they're coded for the red zone. And then people who are just doing makeup in the trailer. Same with wardrobe. So that's a lot of people to keep track of, which is kind of good for employment. They need more people, which is pretty good. So testing. Now you know the 3 different kinds. There may be more since I've looked it up. And when I say since I've looked it up, I looked it up in September. So here we are in December, 3 months later. Is there a new test? I don't know. There could be. Just know for your sake. The reason why I'm telling you guys all this is for peace of mind, so that you're not wondering, what am I supposed to be doing? What kind of test is this? What do the results really mean? And the results, well, we'll go into that later because that's more of like a peace of mind safety issue, but let's talk about money. So like I said, if you're going to be there longer on set, they're going to have to pay you. And I don't mean specifically on set. It could be that you're moved into some background roles. That's great. That's on set. But also, if you're going to be paid for the time it takes for testing to happen, because so a day rate most likely moves into a weekly rate. I did a video a couple of days ago, why do actors, or why don't we get what we want? And the main answer to that is because we don't ask. So ask. Hey, I'm getting tested on a Monday, but I don't shoot till Friday. Am I getting a weekly rate? Ask. They're not going to fire you for asking. I'm very surprised at so many actors who have been doing this for a while who are afraid to ask simple questions. We're all figuring this out. This is all new to everybody. But we're getting better at it. So the testing plus the shoot date will probably get you a little more money. However, if you're being, see, it depends on the shoot. So I may get tested on a Monday and not shoot until Thursday. But when I'm on set, as soon as I arrive, they're going to test me again. Because guess what? Anything can happen between those 3 days. The odds that if you were cleared on Monday, you're probably clear on Thursday. But we know how unpredictable the virus is. If you just ran out to do laundry one day, and who knows, right? We do our best. So if you're being tested on set that day, you're not going to get paid extra for that, just so you know. You do get a separate fee for the testing if it's not the day you're getting tested. So there's different kinds of quarantine. There was this big quarantine experiment that Tyler Perry did with his own studios. He housed everybody, he fed everybody, he had everybody there on the commune, so to speak. That's not the real world. That's the Tyler Perry world. The real world is if you're living in LA or New York or a major city, you go get tested, you go home. Then you show up on set. We don't know who other people are living with. We don't know if their roommate is working a job every day where they're in contact with other people and may bring it home to your fellow actor who may or may not bring it on set. We do the best we can, right? So what is expected of you? If you get tested on a Monday and you know you don't shoot till Thursday, plan on it ahead of time. When you know you're going to be tested, make sure you've gotten your laundry done, you've gotten your shopping done, all of that before you go for your testing so that you can stay home before you go on set. It's for everybody's safety. You would really love it if everybody did that for you, right? I have been on set where got the email and said somebody tested positive. Well, fortunately, I wasn't in close contact with that person, but they had to stop production because somebody tested positive. It didn't mean that they were sick. It didn't mean that they were in the hospital. It didn't mean that they were spreading it, but we don't know what it means. So safety is number one. So they shut it down for a couple of days to wait for a second test to come through or replace that individual. Could be anything. We're all trying to figure it out. So when you're on set, it's going to be lonely. What I used to like to do was once I got my trailer and I got my paperwork filled out, I like to wander around. I like to see what's up. I like to hang out at Crafty. I like to, can't do that. You can't do that. You can't. First of all, craft services is set up differently now. It's just like a food truck. There's no table. I'm sure every setup is a little bit different, but there's no milling around. There's no grabbing things. You ask for it, you get it. There's a menu, you get it. Everything is all individually packaged, and then you bring it back to your trailer. It's lonely these days. It's lonely. And then and then even when you break for lunch or dinner, every set is run differently. So you may grab your dinner and then take it into your trailer if you prefer. I was on a commercial set where we had our meal outdoors at the big banquet, the long banquet table, but only two people were allowed at each banquet table. High poinsettia. One on each end of a 6 foot or 8 foot long banquet table. That's how we ate lunch outdoors. And still it was all like, it wasn't self-serve. You know, you had to ask for everything. So meals are lonely and you're in your trailer a lot. So one thing I didn't do when I'm giving this information to you, I was in an area where I didn't have Wi-Fi. And I didn't know that not the PA, the third AD was contacting a bunch of actors via text. That's the thing. They're not going to be knocking on your door these days. Some are, but if they can text you, it's a lot safer. Again, the less interaction that a production has, the safer it is, the less milling about. So I didn't know that she was contacting me. Fortunately, it wasn't anything serious. I let the whole morning go by before knew to ask for the Wi-Fi password. In that particular area, my cell phone wasn't picking up. So I did rely on Wi-Fi. So ask for the Wi-Fi. For some reason, it wasn't in the trailer. It usually is. It wasn't. So my mistake is not yours. Ask for Wi-Fi if you need it. Because people need to get in touch with you. That's going to be the primary thing, primary way. Okay, masks, of course, masks. Wear a mask when you get there. They're probably going to have masks for you if you need them when you get there, if you don't have them. Who doesn't have them? So everyone's wearing masks all the time until they yell action. Then you take the mask off. Question is, what do you do with the mask? Think about it. See if you're taken care of. I was on a set where they required us to wear face shields as well. And then they're like, okay, everybody masks off, because they were like camera rolling. I'm like, okay, where do I put it? And somebody said, oh, you can just put it on the floor. Now, a couple days before, they had us reading 14 pages of safety protocols. And on one of those pages, it said, never put your mask or your face shield on a floor. Well, they didn't say it so much that it said it must be in a clean area that's specifically marked off. So they were about to roll, and I said, no. And, you know, normally an actor doesn't do that, but this is one of the very first productions that was happening during COVID. And I said, and they made us read all of the safety stuff. So I was only going by the safety protocol. So what they did was they found a specific box for me and the other actor for us and only us separately to put our masks and shields. So, and then I was on another set where I actually just learn how to fold your mask properly. You can find it online so that it's as safe as can be, and find a place to tuck it somewhere. Or maybe there's a Ziploc bag that you can bring on set and then put it in there and then like toss it somewhere. That's a really good idea. Ziploc, put it in there and then toss it out of camera frame. Make sure your name's on that Ziploc bag. Okay. Quarantine, I talked about that a little bit. Yeah, so there are some that are mandatory. And then, but mostly it's the honor system. Like I said, everybody's getting tested on one day, but then it's up to their own devices. They're like, well, we don't know if they went to a rave the night before. Hopefully not. I mean, I think everybody, at least in the industry, is doing really well. I've heard something a little disturbing. I don't know 100% if it's true, but it's something to be aware of if we need to look out for it. There were some background actors who had tested positive, so they couldn't go on set. And what they did apparently was they went on another set. I don't know how they got on there, but you know, desperate times. These background actors really wanted to make the money. And then I guess these sets really wanted things to move quickly and said, oh, okay, you were tested last week, so I guess you're good. But they didn't look at their recent test. I don't know. It's weird. But it's just something to keep in mind. And I've said this before, if you're not comfortable, I don't care how much they're paying us. If you're not comfortable exposing people in your home to whatever has happened on the set when you come home, that's your personal decision. A lot of people I know live with immune compromised partners or children. This is not a joke that, you know, this is not there's this assumption that kids don't get it, or they my sister works in a hospital, and she works specifically pediatrics. And the kids get tested automatically when the parents have been tested because they're in the same household. And she said the most recent positive, not the most recent, the youngest, and it was the most recent, the youngest that tested positive was less than a week old. Less than a week old children are getting positive test. Again, it doesn't mean the child got sick. It doesn't mean they were hospitalized. And in this case, it didn't mean that they died. But it's something to keep in mind for your family and your safety. If you're not comfortable with that, you know, it's, I'm going to say it's just a year. Wait a year. But if you're comfortable, if you're like me, you live alone, you're healthy, you follow all the guidelines, it's still a risk, but it's a risk. It's a risk I'm willing to take when I set it up as a low risk. All right, I'm going to leave you guys on this. I want to leave it on an upbeat. There is work out there. Being forewarned is being forearmed. Knowledge is power. Ask questions, ask for what you want, ask for what you need, and know that everyone is just out there trying to tell a story. That's what we do. We tell stories. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off. Thank you.